Hi there, welcome back. This is a video tutorial for the song This Land Is Your Land, and we're going to make use of our C chord, our F chord, and our G7 chord, just as we have been, but now we're going to put them in a slightly different pattern. So before we get into the song, let's zoom on in and take a look at those chords and what that pattern is going to be. So for this song, once again, we're going to need our C chord, which I make by putting the ring finger on the 3rd fret of A. Then I'm going to move to my F chord. Again, I'm kind of floating my pointer and my middle finger above the fretboard here so that it doesn't take much for them to get to their positions. Pointer finger is going to go to the 1st fret of the E string. The middle finger is going to reach all the way over to the 2nd fret of the G string, which is the one closest to me. That's my F chord. And then in this alternating pattern, I'm going to go right back to the C chord where I was. And now I'm going to move to my G7 chord. I'm going to slide that ring finger up again to the 2nd fret, that is, of the A string. And again, my pointer and middle are sort of floating, ready for their positions. Pointer finger again is going to come down on the 1st fret of the E string, and the middle is going to come down on the 2nd fret of the C string, and it's going to sound like that. Then we come back to the C chord, so I lift my pointer and my middle up a little bit, slide that ring finger back to the 3rd fret of A. So this alternating pattern, we're using C as our home chord, then we go to F, back to C, and then to G7, and then we start it all over again. And come back to C. So make sure you're familiar with all of that before you move on. All right, once you feel good about that alternating pattern, we're going to start to add some rhythm to it. So once again, we're going from C to F, back to C, and then to G7, and then we come back, right? And we start the whole pattern again. But what we're going to do for this song is play each chord 4 times before we switch to the next one. So it'll sound a little bit like this, starting on C, 2, here we go, and 1, 2, 3, 4, switch to F, 2, 3, 4, back to C, 2, 3, 4, then to G7, 2, 3, let's try it again. Now you count. 1, to F, and back, and then G7. One more time, on your own, starting on C, and pause right there. So it's a pretty predictable pattern. What's going to happen though is when we bring the lyrics into it, there's going to be a little bit of overlapping. We start on C, but we don't start singing until right before we move to the F chord. Let me sing a little bit of the chorus for you and you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to start on C again, and again I'm going to stick with my 4 beats per chord, but you'll see that the chord changes don't always line up so perfectly with the musical phrases. Here we go, starting on C, 2, here we go, and 1, 2, 3. This land, F is your land. This land, switch is my land. To G7 from California to the new Sea York Island. From the red F wood forest to the Gulf Stream sea waters. G7, this land was made for you and me. Let's try that all again. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Pause right there. So like I said, It can sometimes feel a little confusing once we add the words back in there. But let me give you a couple tips. First of all, we start on C. That's our kind of like our starting chord. It's also going to be the one that we end on at the end. So technically, if you think about it, the first chord in our phrase is actually going to be the F, right? Because that's really what we're stepping up to. This land is your land. So get ready. Right when you start to sing, you can hear the melody, those steps. Bum, 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 bum. And then when we hold that note, that's when we're switching to the F chord. And likewise, every time we sing afterwards, this land is my land, those chord changes are coming on the notes that we're holding out for a longer time. I call them little stair-step notes in the middle, right? As I had said, bum, 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 and the change comes on the long note, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. So feel free when you're singing to really sink into those notes, because that's going to help you feel when the chord change comes. The only exception to that rule is at the very end of the chorus, which is actually also the end of the verse as well. It's the same line, same chords. When you switch to G7 the second time, you sing, this land was made for you and me. That's the only phrase that actually starts on the chord change. So watch out for that. But like I said, even when you get to the verse, which follows the same chord progression, the last line of the verse is also going to be switching to that G7. This land was made for you and me. So even though it's the only exception to the rule, it's consistent throughout the whole song. All right? So with that in mind, let's sing the chorus one more time, and then we'll take a little break and play through the whole song as well. Here we go, starting on that C, 2, ready, and 1, 2, 3. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. Here it comes. This land was made for you and me. Pause right there. So there you go. That's kind of a breakdown of how this chord progression works. And again, as I said, it's the same for the chorus as it is for the verses. So once you know the chorus, you've got the whole song down. So feel free to pause right here, go back and review anything that you need to do. Just work on that chorus for a little while to get familiar with it. But when you are ready, the next thing we're going to do is play through the entire song from beginning to end. Here we go. All right, this land is your land. We've got a chorus, verse 1, back to the chorus, verse 2, and back to the chorus one more time. So feel free to gather around all your friends for emotional support as we campfire this song together here. This is just, it's hard to sing on my own. I just want everybody to be singing with me on it. We're going to start off with those 3 C's before we launch right into our first chord change. Here we go. On C, 1, 2, ready, and this land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. Nice job, you made it all the way through. And I encourage you, as always with all these videos, to go back and play through it as many times with me as you need to, right? And feel free to play through it just with the chords, with no strumming, or just strumming and no chords, whatever you need to help you learn the song and help you then be able to sit down one day and not need the video and just know it from the inside out, as I like to put it. Feel free to do that as much as you need, and let me know if you have any questions along the way. For now, I will say enjoy your practice and see you for the next song. Enjoy.